Hello and welcome to Euphoria episode 8, right after week 3 of the spring split. As always, we're available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify.
And this week we had Tolkin on to go through what's been happening in the LEC and also to draft championship winning teams to show us what the LEC is really capable of.
Our teams might not have turned out that good, but it was
Not even a little.
damn fun. We talked about a lot of other stuff. Well, so let's just get into it. And welcome, everyone. Tolkien, welcome. We've all just been yapping about League of Legends for probably the last gajillion hours. But before we start, again, yapping about League of Legends, for reference, we are recording this Monday night after the show. Tolkien, can you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit of backstory here, because I think for people who don't speak German, you might be a bit of a new face.
Yeah, I'm a German pro player. Used to be at least. Now I usually just stream and cast LEC. I was also a team owner, part-time coach for a time. I was challenger for 10 years, but now I'm washed. So I'm only like master 500 LP-ish. And now I just stream the LEC in German and also LPL, LCK. And I love Faker. That's also an important detail. And yeah, I'm just addicted to esports.
Big T1 fan, I think.
Yeah,
Number
from
one
what I've heard,
T1 fan
Yeah, great.
in
Good.
EU. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you picked a pretty good team to root for, I think.
But
all
I
things
picked them back in the day, you know, before it was really
Before
clear.
it was cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we also suffered for like years on years on years.
Uh-huh.
And then only now it's like becoming great again, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
you've
also-
been through the ringer with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a bandwagoner, guys.
Exactly.
He was there for the bad years. He was there. I mean, there were a couple.
Yeah.
But, I mean, fair. Called the shot. It seems like it's played true for you. First thing I want to hit, though, just right off the bat, we just came off of one of the weirdest series, and also, I think, probably best series of the split so far.
For sure.
KC versus Team Heretics. Dagda was the first thing that stood out to you. Like, what overall with this series?
What the hell happened? That entire series was nuts. I mean, like, one, I think was insane that we got the step up from Heretics. Like, individual performers looked really, really good. The early game looked immaculate, but like also on KC's side, it felt like there was a lot of people not showing up as you would have expected them. And early, to me, feels like a delayed reaction to first stand, where it feels like they're now starting to struggle a little bit coming back into it and not really synergizing. It looks a little bit more fatigued. So I don't know, this whole thing was just an absolute barn burner. Like, it was such an exciting series, but it was so all over the place.
It's interesting to me you bring up fatigue because I believe also Medic said, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when teams are fatigued, they're just worse as a team.
Yeah.
But K-Corp kind of got clapped individually, no? They kept dying on their own. They kept getting caught on side and they were suffering in lane. They were like down in the game, like 10 kills in the early game every single game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, you know, winning or getting close to winning in first stand, reaching the final is exciting. But this was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's even like looking at Vladdy, like his play on the Tristan in the mid lane, like the flash into ulting away the Silas. So he ends up like, I know he was about to get locked up at the Abscond Abduct, but still it was just like weird little mistakes that kept creeping into their play or even mistiming jumps and stuff. It was like, oh yeah, this is Vladdy who's been stepping up as one of the best mid laners we have. And then he just kind of like messes up so many weird things.
Yeah, I respect that he was still aggressive, that he still like believed in himself in that context, but at the same time, it's very, it throws you for a loop, right? Because in my head, Camilo is probably like bottom 3 mid laner, and he played great this series. Don't get me wrong, he had a lot of good moments. He did still have some mistakes. It was a messy series, but to see him so clearly outclass Vladdy in a game, in that Silas game especially, was like, what happened? Right? Like Finn said it best. Like, what did they eat? What did Team Heretics do today? Because this is also a team that we've seen not be able to make it out of laning phase intact, right? Like, and Camilo was one of those players, and today he was styling on people. He was everywhere he needed to be.
For sure.
Does it shake your confidence in KC, either of you? Are you like, because they were pretty clear, everyone's like, they're top 2 minimum. If you're a KC fan, you're like the best team, they're like the best team in the league. But like, are you shaken at all after the series?
No. They stomped SK, right? On Saturday, I believe. They were really stomping them. It was the same KC as always. And I want to believe in K-Corp. Because we really need like a new generation of great players, obviously. And Vladdy and Kalista are the perfect examples, I guess. So if they have a hiccup after an international performance, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world, right? But you get a bit worried when they get solo kills a bunch of times. And then I believe also Tristana got like killed by Sejani, who was 3 levels up in her own base at like minute 20.
Yeah.
So like these kind of things, if you get actually outclassed, it's worrying. If you just get outplayed, it's fine. But it's one game, it's one best of 3 that they actually still managed to win. Because as you mentioned, Team Heretics can be shaky.
Shaky.
Yeah.
There you go. I like that. I like
fair.
that.
Yeah.
You do the, you
It's
know,
more diplomatic,
it's
yeah.
the diplomatic pauses transcend language barriers. Where as do like the hand gestures. Where you're like, how do I say the not flamey version of what I want to say here?
It does. I think I am a little bit nervous for them though, because it's like I think there's one thing about the individual mistakes as well, but like they just looked really disjointed on a lot of the fights as well. So it was kind of like there was multiple different aspects, and it's not like hey, I think KC are suddenly going to completely fall apart and not make playoffs, right? But if I'm looking at this as a team that I expect to make finals and contest for a second championship, after that, I'm kind of like, okay, well, maybe we got to readjust for next week, because they've got Giant X next week, and Giant X like have also been a team that's a little shaky at times.
Yeah.
But if the same thing then happens, or I'm not seeing a convincing win there, I'm kind of like, okay, well, how long is this slump now going to happen for?
What I really respect about Casey, though, is that they really got stomped by Herbalife, right? And then Vladi is trying to adapt like a champion pool. It feels like he's playing like
big
Kadi,
time.
Silas, Yon. And also Yai kept playing Zinzao and Vai, I believe, in the last week as well. So it feels like they're using stage to work on their flaws, which is something people always wished for, right? Stage
Yeah, it's
games
true,
are the
it's
best
true.
practice. We have more best of threes now, fear this draft, so you should practice more. So maybe you can kind of, like reduce the flame and look from that kind of angle on the situation, perhaps. But I get your point. It's kind of worrying to a degree, but not that much, I guess.
I mean, the credit we can give them is that they've adapted really well thus far when they've struggled, which is, I think, what sets them apart from other like promising young rosters, right? They got to game 5 versus Fnatic, and admittedly, Fnatic completely trolled that draft, but they didn't seem phased at all, which is rare for rookies, right? And then I think Yike had a really bad start to first stand. They adjusted. They managed to make it to finals. Some of that is format and luck, but they did still have a lot of games where they played really well. And it's the same thing here, where if they come back next week swinging, we're not going to have this conversation again until the next time they throw a best of 3, right? But I guess we'll have to see. The other series, and more importantly, I think the other team I want to ask about is MKOI. Clean sweep of BDS. I think people are pretty ready to just immediately slot them into 4th best team, right? Maybe 3rd, depending on what form Fnatic is in. What's your read? We had Jojo and Mirwin on. I feel like Mirwin's on a pretty big glow up. Do we believe in MKOI this split?
I think we should. Mainly because, Mervin's main strength, which I think the LEC always did a great job at highlighting, is champion pool. And Philistov always kept getting highlighted, but it didn't really matter due to lane swaps. Now those are gone, so we saw Varus also from SK and also especially from Mervin. And these kind of pocket picks allow a different draft. And the interesting part about MKOI is, to me, they had Odwamne with the segment about LEC drafting rules, where you need frontline face-checking power, having an ability to start fights. They don't care about those rules. They just keep drafting Ivan, doing some like 80 carry top lane stuff. And they kept getting away with it, and also the draft feels natural to play regardless. So you can get excited for them, also because I believe they are quite strong individually, but I just can't get behind like an A player in Europe. That's always against my heart, I'm like an old school kind of guy. It doesn't feel great. No. Canadian mid laner, Nah, he's doing a fine job, but as a European fan, we can only always trash talk an A.
Yeah.
And now
I understand.
He's a good player.
You might also understand why I have a bit more sympathy for him. You might get where I'm like, he came on this podcast and I was like, he charmed me. God damn it. Like we left the podcast and I was like, I'm gonna have to stop myself from saying nice things about that kid. That's a good kid right there. I was just like, I will protect him.
He's really charismatic as well.
Yeah.
So he's fun to watch, and it's also fun to trash talk him a bit because he's bantering so well himself. So it's great.
Sure.
Yeah, and I want to go back to your Merwin point, because I think it's not only the fact that he has these weird picks, but you can also see he's clearly put in the work on your regular picks as well. Like his Gwen looked great, his Rumble looked great. Like it feels like it's not just kind of he's the weird guy. It's like, no, he actually has. He's a really solid top laner now. And I think that's the part that makes me most excited about this team. And I do expect them now to just like rocket up the standings, because they had KC and G2 as their first 2 opening games. So from now on, it feels like those are the 2 hardest teams that you kind of get out of the way. So I'm just excited to see them face off against like Fnatic, to actually see where that battle for the 3rd, 4th kind of lands. But it feels like they have a super strong early game. I think Oyoy is doing a really good job of kind of shadowing a lot of his lanes, getting them set up. Alvaro still looks great. Like I think they've got 3 lanes that basically can win the game for them at any point in time. And that's such a cool spot to be in if you're an MKOI fan.
Also, week 5, MKOI versus Fnatic. We will have to wait a week to get there, but that one I think is going to be sick to see the top teams. We're not going to spend as much time talking about the games that just happened this week. Instead, we're going to try something new, a little bit different. You're here, Tolkien, so we had to spice it up. We already got you. That's a little bit of clickbait. We need more clickbait. No hope or cope. Hope or cope is a bad segment. It's a great segment. It's a bad segment. This week we're going to be doing a draft, a player draft, similar to fantasy drafts. If you guys have ever played fantasy sports at home, but there are some restrictions, and we'll be doing a stake draft. So just to explain it, each of us are trying to build a team that can break into the top 3 of the LEC. The twist is that the winter top 3 teams are off the table. None of the players from those rosters can be picked. So no players from Fnatic, KC, or G2 are available. Format's a snake draft. Tolkien has elected to go third. We gave him his choice if he wanted to go first or last. So for a reminder, if you've never done a snake draft before, it will go A, B, C, C, B, A. So essentially, Drakos, Dagda, Tolkien, Dagda, Drakos. Back and forth for 5 rounds until we have a team. So each round, give yourself a little bit to think about your picks before we come into it. And then we'll go kind of not super rapid fire. Let's say 20 seconds, you lock in your pick. And then we'll get to talk about each of our picks per round. So pick, talk, pick, talk, and so on and so forth. And I'm up first, but first off the bat, do you guys have any thoughts? Do you guys already have in your head who you need to lock down? With top 3 excluded, it does make things a bit tricky. And remember that top 3 was an arbitrary point, okay? I get that some teams might, blah, 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 but it was a good way to limit the pool so we didn't just make different versions of KC, Fnatic, and G2.
Sure.
I think in my head, there's like certain roles, like I feel like jungle and support are kind of ones that you want to lock down early, right? Because you've got that synergy already there. Plus, I think there is a kind of clear gap between some of the top in that role and then the rest is too. So that's kind of where my eyes are initially drifting to. But I can see both of you now looking at me and going, that guy's giving away his strategy. I don't want to say it.
It's hard. The thing is this is why I love this, is it's a competitive thing, but also we're all here.
Yeah.
Former pro player. If you're in esports, you're competitive, whether you like it or not. Do you want anything? Any hints you want?
I think I can read what you wanted to mention, because you already said you think MKOI is like 4th place.
Yeah.
So probably you will fish out of that pool. Probably going for Mervin first, if I have to judge.
That's a pretty good.
And then Dagda probably perhaps looking for Alvaro, I guess. So I have to get away from MKOI, but then again I get to pick twice. So I can actually execute 2 in the first.
This is an insane draft. This is an insane draft to to pick twice. Excuse me. All right. I'll go first, and we'll kick things off. So my first pick, round 1, pick 1, is Elyoya.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with...
Also, Rob has a player list right in front of him if you need a reference.
If you need
This is no, do it. This is a lot for you to do with just a phone.
It's okay.
Yeah, because Elyoya was the one that I wanted to try and go for. So I think...
You guys are so predictable.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You said Mirwin!
You said Mirwin!
2. I'm trolling.
Okay, I think I will just take Alvaro. I'll let you have the give me on that one, all right? But here.
Wait, which one did you choose?
Alvaro.
Alvaro. Oh yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
so let me think. I mean, I guess you guys...
You're going to get 2 picks back to back, but remember, we're just going to talk about the first picks here.
I'm just thinking about, like you guys locking down jungle support, so I need a strong jungle support myself. I actually want to go for Sheo, because I feel like he was really a backbone of last year's performance.
No, I don't think you should take him, actually. I think you should,
I think Alvaro lock him down. So I think going for Sheo makes sense, and then support...
Wait, should we talk? Actually, we can do 2 rounds in a row, and that'll make things a little bit easier. We'll do round 1, round 2, because since you have to do 2 picks in a row, it would be weird for you not to discuss your first 2 consecutively. So you want to do your second pick, or do you want more time? Do you want to talk
No. I'm fine. I'll just take... I think, that's kind of a weird position for me, because I want to take Pagos, because I really felt like he was smurfing in EU Masters, but so far BDS has just been running it down, so it feels kind of weird to select him.
You cannot pick Paris. I'm sorry. I want to believe too.
You do Giant X here as well.
Yeah, but I don't want to select Jun. I feel like on Rel perhaps. But then again, I'm just biased because so many people are talking, hyping Mappador Paris, and I've seen his solo queue and scrim performance as well, to a degree. Not many games, but I was shown some. And I want to get excited behind the guy, but I guess
it's up to you. I mean, you follow your heart.
Yeah. I will take him.
Okay.
Rob, round 2 pick. But you're actually right. The support pool was rough.
Yeah. that was the reason I kind of looked at it and went, okay, I'm going to lock in Alvaro super quick.
I gave you too much shit. I'm sorry, Tolkien. That's actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah. I think... this is a tough one. So I'm caught between 3 players essentially, because I think I'm just going to go with the mid lane. I think I'm going to go with the mid lane. So I'm looking at Jackie's, Jojo, and Nuke are essentially the 3 that I'm trying to eye up. But it's like, if that's the case, do I really need to go mid lane? So maybe I just take the AD carry actually. So I think I'm just going to go with Ice here. Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good choice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good choice,
wait.
good choice.
Ice.
Yeah.
Ice. Okay. I think support is a bit cleared out. No offense to the remaining supports, but I think I have my time. I think I can take my time here. So I can either be first into the top lane feast and fall right into Tolkien's trap of being predictable. Because I don't think it's a surprise what any of us would prioritize for top lane. Oh, maybe there's some difference. Or do I just take mid because I think the mid pool is also...
It's actually really
There's
hard.
decent options
Yeah.
for top.
Because it comes down into like a priority thing, right?
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
how much of the pool can I have? Because if there's 3 mid laners you're happy with, well, then you don't really need to pick a mid laner, right? So you can kind of leave it to
I think
a bit deeper.
there's a
but-
decent number of top laners and ADs I'd be happy with. So and support I think is a bit it's a bit boom already because 2 are gone. So I'm taking Nuke in the mid lane. So before we go further, I will get another pick back to back, which I will think about. But why the priorities? Why immediately jungle support, Tolkien?
I mean, I actually know that you mentioned I kind of trolled because you guys already selected some, so I should have went for different roles, I guess. But as Dagda mentioned, having like synergy in jungle support is always important, and I felt like those guys can work out because they're also like coming from the same kind of background, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't really make sense. So I should have selected top 4 or mid for sure. The pool was already turned, so I just ran it down.
It's fine. We're metagaming, bro.
Yeah.
We're metagaming. And I mean, Rob, your strategy doesn't. But here's what's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a little BM. You could have picked Alvaro and Supa. You picked Alvaro and Ice. You could have had my bot lane duo that played together, my friend.
I do think-
Why are you splitting them up, you little home wrecker? What are you doing over there?
Well, I just want the entire Spanish community to hate me, and that's why. No, but what I think Ice has been an incredibly strong performer, and I think the strongest part of it for me is that it doesn't matter what pick it feels like for Ice. It's like, give him Ash, he's going to be fine. If I give him Ezreal, he's going to be fine. We haven't seen him pick it, but like he's had strong performances on it. And I think the multiple different styles is such a big factor in the AD carry role at the moment, because it feels like you kind of need to be able to go for I'm going to shotgun in with Kai'Sa and win the game for you, or I can also play far back and kind of kite things out. And I think Ice has been a top performer in the AD carry role regardless. Even if BDS haven't been able to like find that success in winter, I think once he has a team around him, he'll perform. So Ice for me just felt like the guy that can win you games from the one of the guys that can win you games from the role. And yeah, I think it was just he's been an insane performer. Even BDS haven't been performing.
I think we're very rapidly answering the question like, who are the 4th and 5th best teams in the LEC? Because we're just picking apart BDS and MKOI. So round 3, I'll make it easy because I thought you being pick 3 and 4 was OP Tolkien, but now I'm just gonna grab Mirwin.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling really good about my top side. My bot lane might be a hot friggin' mess, but I'm feeling very good about my top side. Rob, what's your pick gonna be?
I'm going to take Adam because I think Adam has been in. Oh, actually, do I want to go on Adam?
I mean,
Do you?
Yeah.
How do you feel? You believe? He went to Korea, who boot camp by himself.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Adam. I think Adam's been too insane. Like, it feels like his Aurora games have been sick. He had another one that was unreal that I can't think of off the top of my head. I think his second series, he had a bit of a rough game, but Adam's actually been pretty good apart from that. But this is a very hard choice because I could see you smiling at me, and I think it's going to be
what's your read? Because we haven't really gotten into, like, you obviously know a lot more about top lane than I think the average co-streamer, and probably more than the average caster, I'd have to guess. So what's your read on Adam so far this season?
Oh.
Do you think it's a fair priority? Like, once we cut away top 3, I went straight to Mirwin. Rob went to Adam next.
Yeah, he's the best player on Rogue. I believe that for sure.
Sure.
But he's been way too selfish. You know, like, I don't know if you guys, I think LEC highlighted like him having stats at 40 minutes. Him being insane, like basically being first in every single position. But he's been losing games in draft. I remember against the 2 first game, he blind picked Aurora because he didn't have like a melee champion to blind pick. They had Sejuani as well. And usually LEC top players would pick either Jax or Ambassador. And then he ended up blind picking Aurora, and he went fine. He was like 3-0. He didn't die. He was fountain camping. But Brokenblade got like a 3/10 pick Galio, and then he just kind of destroyed the game against for magic resistance. And then second game, which was really funny, he played Garen against Jax. which is also a great matchup. He also went 3-0, and then Broken Blade kept chasing him until nobody's team was taking the fountain to actually kill him for the first time. And Broken Blade was laughing, looking at Adam on the other side of the stage, and like killing him, taking down his KDA. Because Adam is the best player on Rogue for sure, but selecting him as top laner will not guarantee you a win if he keeps having that aspect rather selfish, which makes sense. In a bad team, you want to still shine. And I would not select him myself, but your choice makes sense, like individually as top lane.
I mean, also you got Ice, so Ice is a very selfless.
Yeah, well, I think it's
You're,
also
again rebuilding old BDS.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like I do think Adam has definitely been a bit more selfish this split, but I think last split we saw that he was more than willing to give up that space, right? So I think it's a case of, in my eyes, it's like there is an Adam from previous iterations that can always come back, right? Where he was like, hey, I'm going to give him a lane. I'm going to go mid. I'm going to try and make a play. I'm going to try and set up for team fights and stuff like that. And I think that's where the value for me for Adam will come in, is like he has clearly put in the work to now be a carry and do things like that. But I think he still can go back to, hey, I'm going to go on Sion duty for a bit,
Makes sense.
Does make sense. All right, Tolkien, you have Shia, you have Paris. Who's next?
Yeah, so I'm missing top jungle mid, right?
Yep.
I know.
Oh, no, sorry. AD.
ADs,
yeah, you need all your carry roles. You've locked in your supportive roles.
Dude, I need to think for a second, because you guys took some great options. And I guess I'm going to be the most controversial one then, because you guys are just selecting like BDS and...
yeah, I mean, I feel like my choices are right, but also could an AI draft the exact same team that I did? Yes, 100%. Yeah.
What's that other tab you have open? Sorry.
What's this? Oh, I made a list.
ChatGPT? Is that what it says?
Let me beat Tolkien in a fantasy draft. What rules do I need to invoke to win in a fake fantasy draft?
Okay, I mean, mid lane, as you guys selected Nuclear and...
It's gone, yeah.
Nuke is the only one who's gone so far.
Realistically, I probably should go for Jojo Plan, right? But you want to secure him anyway.
No. I have Nuke.
But
he is Nuke.
Oh,
No, I love my Canadian boy. Like, I will defend him. It's hard to defend him but we're both transplants, so I got to stand up for him. But I didn't pick him over Nuke. I'm not out here mad coping.
I'll actually be a bit controversial, and I will go with Camilo, because I really feel like this guy, whenever the camera's on him, he is smiling. He's walking on stage, being 0-2 down. He doesn't care. Like, he's just going in, and the game where they went like 14k behinds?
Yeah.
That guy was having fun.
He was.
And then he was screaming at the end of the game.
And he did play really well today.
Today he did, so perhaps I'm a bit recency biased, but I would have selected him regardless, I think, because he's fun to watch. And he will never be the best LEC mid laner, most likely, I think. But he's like kind of rookie in development, and he's just fun to watch. So I think he will be uplifting in the team, like lifting up the mood. That's great.
You were giving some shout outs to some niche players. Or do you have some like...
Why not?
I know that you said you were earlier before we started. I can't remember if you said something. You were super SK. You were hyping up SK today. You had the jerseys on. You had SK. But like you're hyping up a TH pretty hard right now. You got their mid jungle on lock. You're like,
yeah.
Are you a believer? Are they making playoffs? I guess would be my question.
They played incredibly well today, and usually teams usually bad teams, they lock down easy to play drafts, right? They go for like simple mid game, simple execution team fights. They stomped K-Corp early game, which is quite exciting. And they didn't win. They still lost 1-2. They are not great in mid-game. Those mistakes are usually harder to fix.
Yeah.
But perhaps you can just slam an easy comp and fix those mistakes. But we were not playing this game on a team level, right? So I'm just selecting based on a bit of, I guess, bias towards these two players who really shaped the early game, their identity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm happy with those two.
Fair.
And then I need what's left? 80 carry?
You need an 80 carry and you need a top laner.
Okay, so I'm gonna go controversial again once more. Kazi. He's actually been jailed.
Not controversial.
Not controversial. I'm actually so mad. He might in every single week for the rest of this split. I would still, with top 3 removed, with ice removed, just pick Kazi. Like, look, he's probably 5th, but the thing is, this guy's ceiling is crazy. So it's not controversial. I'm curious what your reason is, but I fully believe in the Kazi angle.
It's hard for a player to shine. He's been kind of jailed by an off-role player now. But perhaps it's his first week.
I mean, of course, I don't think it's unreasonable to say.
Yeah, and then Hildesang as well in winter was to a degree rough. I mean, teams usually take time to adapt to him, I think.
Yeah.
And when I played against Kazi back in EU Masters 2018, he was also already a great Fearless draft player. He played Echo bot lane. He played Garen Yumi to a high level. He played Swain. He played Veigar, Cassiopeia and stuff. Yeah. So that kind of thing can help you in best of 5 more than best of 3, I believe. So selecting Kazi, perhaps if they make playoff, he can shine.
I was thinking,
it's not controversial anymore. You guys said it's
no.
not.
I mean, the thing is I don't know what the public perception is, but to me, it's like Kazi and Ice are the 2 80 carries that I think are always on a top list of players, but never the first player that comes to mind. But Carzy last year was a monster so often. And this year he still had great moments, but it's like because Vitality's all over the place. And I think obviously the attention is on Niski since he's the role swap. I don't think people are looking at him as closely, but I believe in Carzy.
I think it's also hard to shine as an AD carry on what Vitality were like with Hylissang, because it was just like, it was so much about, hey, they're going to try and get into a position with Hylissang to find a flank or whatever it is. And it never became the story of, oh, Carzy's doing the team fight well, because it was, well, the fight's already kind of been decided before you have to play into an AD carry's specialities, right? So I think the past Carzy's shown that he's an incredibly strong player. And I think if you do have a team that can support him and enable him, he will carry team fights. So I don't think it's controversial in any way. I think it's just getting him into a position where he can actually play the fights.
So before you make your next pick, Rob, I just want to, for people in podcast land, I realize I've done a terrible job because I should have been summarizing every round what our picks were. So if you haven't kept up, that's fair. That's my bad. So I have Elyoya, Nuke, and Mirwin. Rob, so far you have Alvaro, Ice, and Adam. So you are looking for jungle mid. Tolkien has Sheo, Paris, Kamilu, and Carzy. Just looking for a top laner now at this point. Taking your time to lock that one down. Respectable. Rob, what are you going for next?
So I'm going to go for the jungler here. And the problem with the person I'm about to say is his early game is phenomenal. And then his team fighting just needs a little bit of patience.
Oh, I know who you're going to say.
Because Finn has got to be. And I'm going to say Mr. 113. Because his early game is sick. And my thought is, if you pair 113 with Alvaro in an early game, that suddenly becomes an unstoppable force, right? But they need a stoppable force when it gets to team fights, because there's been so many team fights where 113 just doesn't have that patience. And like, I think mechanically, even in some of the like reactions that he has, he's clearly mechanically strong. He's a really good early game. It's just trying to put that stopper on him when it comes towards team fights. But I still think it's like, if I want to generate a strong early game lead, 113 is one of the best junglers we have in the league for doing that. So I'm going to go with 113. With the caveat and the star being that I'm hoping I can keep him in place post 15 minutes.
I think it's a fair call out. He is definitely so different for BDS, right? Yeah. And it's clearly like the transition period is rough. I think a lot of the new pickups for BDS haven't 100% clicked, which is a bit of a shame because they were a team that was contesting top for so long. Nuke and Ice still solid. And I do believe in 113. Like, I can't not believe in a player who gets targeted in Italy bans in Europe, right? Like, how can you not? And just about every single game, it's banned. And then, hilariously, the one time he did have a chance to play it, he went right back to tank duty, if I remember correctly. So, respect to him, he's growing. So, I get the angle 100%, Rob. But I agree, there are still some still some stuff that needs to be ironed out.
He's going to do great on the team. I just don't know if I'm going to have hair left by the time we get to the end of the split, you know?
Yeah. Are you a believer? Do you believe in the 113 early game?
It's always kind of outstanding if people actually play really well. Like, it's kind of the mark of a good jungler. And I think Elyoya did that as well as 113. But I don't believe in him. I also don't believe in this mad scientist kind of itemization playstyle. You know, like getting 4 haunting geisters, getting 4 giant spells, having no space left for pink wards. I know people on Twitter were like talking about efficiency of hearts and stuff. But that kind of thing we saw in the German team with Zanzara, who also played AC, kept spamming Kindle Gems. So,
okay,
he's a mad scientist.
I will defend a certain number of Giants belts because I think Giants belt in general is just such a strong early item purchase. Once you cross the 2 Giants belt threshold, I can no longer support. I don't even care if you build a double Giants belt item. Just 2 Giants belts, I get it. It feels good. It's dopamine. I don't even think it matters with like the HP scaling. I just think it's pretty impossible to kill a champion with 2 Giants belts early. 4 Giants belts, you're trolling. Like, what is this? Like, you missed out. You missed out on Diablo 2, so you have to get the fat 4-stack potion belt. Like, that was bad, right? I agree. I don't like. I'm also not a big fan of Leandry's Maokai, which he is like one of the. I won't say only. Pretty much a lot of people play it. It's very common. And he built Heartsteel in a lot of games last split where I was like, you are never going to proc Heartsteel.
Yeah, no.
And while I might have been right, he stuck to his guns. So respect to that. I agree. I'm skeptical. I want to believe because of the Nidalee stuff, but the amount of oopsies is slowly outweighing the standout moments.
Not to then just like take pop shots at the other junglers, but who would you pick? Because you guys already have.
I picked Elyoya first for a reason. The first thing I did when I made this list was like, who are the best players in their role? And Linces is probably the person I put above. I still have a decent amount of faith in Linces. I liked his mage play. I think Vitality is really messy right now, so he's not shining, right? But I think Linces was next on my list. After that, I have no idea. I wouldn't have prioritized Sheo as highly, but I do think that is a player in a different environment on a different team, like can really shine and has this week, despite the environment he's in and despite I think Carlson and Camilo needing more time, still really shine. So
I do think Sheo is the guy kind of holding Heretics together in a lot of senses, though. Like I've been really impressed with Sheo.
I thought about this before we started the week, right? And then wanted to see if it was possible, pitched it, and then now that the week has come through, I'm like, Sheo goes way up on my list, but you've already taken Sheo. And I took Elyoya. So I don't know, Linces maybe, Bukata, Malrang. Like once you get Isma, like everyone is all over the place. I think you're taking a bet on someone no matter what you do. So if 113 is your front runner, I can't really fault that. Is there someone that we're missing? Like from your perspective, Tolkien?
We've only had like 2 weeks of Bukata, so it's like hard to judge him. I think
that's fair.
The others we have a bit more data.
Sorry, it was the same. It was just waiting on data. Yeah.
So I mean, as you said, it's kind of a bet on the other guys, but then Bukata probably being more of an interesting kind of take because SK has had a more lively appearance since both Kidui and he joined.
Yeah.
So and usually Jung does get more credit for like being in a live team, like doing stuff in early game. So yeah, I guess Bukata perhaps. Then Lunistas, I haven't even noticed that much, you know? Like if I try to recall something, there's nothing in my mind.
It's because of Knock Knocko and Niski. Like there's no room for anything else. It's just, what is Niski doing? He's dying level 5 as Alistair. What is Knock Knocko doing? Winning the game? Well, some pretty great Gnar moments and some pretty other moments, right? Yeah, so I understand why. But I think that Linces is a guy that I've he's had some good moments. He's had some good early pathing. He's been where he needed to be. And to me, it was like, of these junglers, he feels like the most stable, but like, again, I think Bukata's another fair call just because he hasn't had the time, right? My last pick, let me see. I have my top side locked down. I need bot lane. You guys both have 80 carries. I can just take Noah Jun, but I don't feel good about that. I don't really want to.
What, you gonna split them up? You homewrecker! How did you do that? Oh my god!
While I do deserve that, I'm gonna take Jun. I guess I get to pick my next one too, but whatever. I'm gonna take Jun first off, just because this guy's ceiling is incredible. I still remember some of one of those Renata games that he played very early on last year that was just like mind blowing, just like outplaying everyone. I think that GX are a team that is really struggling, and it is clear to me that both Noah and Jun high variance in their level of performance. Now, based on interviews, etc., I would attribute that to like a psychological coaching thing. And I certainly don't think that I have the answer to solve that problem, but I have seen how great they can be. And I think that, with the pretty strong top side that I've assembled, maybe they can get back to their top 3 status. So we'll just do round 5. Screw it. I'm taking Noah too. You know what? I won't be a home wrecker, Rob. And you know what? He's been bad. And GX have been bad. But I believe with Mirwin, Nuke, Elyoya topside, they will rise to the occasion. And also, I don't want Jun to be the only cream player on the team. I want to have his boy Noah there. I feel bad, splitting him up. I think more practically, like because Ice and Karzi are gone, there's an argument for Flackid. There's an argument for Supa for sure. After that, Kidui, again, I think need more time. Yeah. And while Patrick has certainly been more explosive, more aggressive, still hasn't hit the mark for me. I think 80 carries is a tough one.
Just on a quick tangent, I don't know if you guys saw the Sheep Esports article that they did with Kidui, but it was actually really cute. He was saying that because he replaced Rahel and he kind of took away Loopy's Korean buddy, he's been making like extra effort to be Loopy's best friend. So then Loopy doesn't feel left out. And it's like the most adorable interview. It's great. Cute, but it's like, it just really said a lot to me about Kidui as a person. And immediately I became a fan. I was like, this is actually such a cool story.
So what you're saying is I should have taken Kidui. He's a great guy.
I mean, he's been playing pretty good as well. I'm not going to lie.
Well. So. That's only 2 weeks, so it makes sense what you said. And
I think that people should stop banning Ezreal because he's not very good at it. People needed one game versus Fnatic to see that champ, and they're like, no, he's not allowed to play that again. Even GX today, first picket to take it away from him. We'll see. I hope he gets more. The Corki was good too, though. He had a really good series today. All right, Dagda, your last pick. So far, you have Alvaro. So sorry, my final roster: Elyoya, Nuke, Mirwin, Jun, and Noah. Rob, you have Alvaro, Ice, Adam, 113. One more piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, so it's my mid lane is my last pick. So
Yep.
the ones that were in my head were Jojo, Jackie's, and kind of Shayak. Just on the side note for it, I think Shayak's actually been pretty good for the team and has really shown a lot of growth, especially this split. I think he's had some great performers. Jackie's I would have been less sold on until he went like 11-1 on RE today and really put in the heavy lifting. And I was like, oh, hang on, this man still got it.
That was fun.
But I think I still have a little bit of PTSD from Jackie's side laning over the last couple of
Okay, and to be
splits.
fair, game one,
Yeah.
he did a really good job of absorbing pressure, not dying as his ear for like 15 minutes of the game. I was like, despite the fact that he didn't get a lead, I was like, this man is chilling. He's doing such a good job just backstepping when he needs to. And then he immediately died twice in the side lane.
Yeah.
So it's not a last split thing. It's like, it's not, that's today trauma, Rob. That's not last split trauma.
Yeah. So I think I end up going with Jojo. I've already got Alvaro there. Alvaro already knows how to work with him. And I do think Jojo has been every week has been improving and getting to a better position. So I think it just makes the most sense to go for Jojo in this position.
So your final roster, Alvaro, Ice bot lane, Jojo Pune mid, 113 jungle, Adam top lane. And I will say this, if we talk about Adam as a selfish player, Jojo Pune has been praised for being willing to take the back seat. You do have like almost like a hand-picked Adam roster. Like you have a team that could just all play around Adam, which I'm not saying that's the best strat, but I think the Adam pick has paid off for you overall. Tolkien, you have Sheo, Paris, Camilo, Karzi. What's your final pick?
Actually difficult, because I just looked at top 10. With all of them, I'm taking a bet, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Yeah, if I take like, in the past, I would have always just went with the relevant and would have been
100%.
great, always. 100%. But this split, my homie, and you know, I've been casting some games with him as well in the LPL. I mean, I kind of know him better than the rest, but I don't feel confident in him this split. So if I take like Carlson, he's kind of in the same spot Irrelevant was like a year ago or something.
Yeah.
Well, and Nako kind of the same. I don't think I will go with Lotto Genax. So it's between the other three. Yeah, you guys, what do you think? Like, what do you think I should take?
I mean, I personally, okay, you have Sheo, you have Karzi. I think that the atmosphere in your team, like Karzi, good vibes, Camilo, your vibes are great.
The waves are awesome, yeah.
The vibes are awesome. I think Irrelevant still. I believe in last year. I think he was good. And honestly, I think that like I think the thing that he did so well last year, he just ate pressure for breakfast. Like the best bot lane games we saw from SK were the games where 3 people tried to dive Irrelevant and failed, and bot lane got to just do whatever they wanted.
But that's really interesting to me, because I really know the guy as a carry player, you know, like he's been known for Jets.
Sure,
And I was like
100%.
in my head, because I also played against him and he was just better than me. He's like, if this guy gets carries, he can carry games.
Sure.
And now without lane swap, I was assuming it would be better for him, but the opposite has been the case. So
true.
Yeah.
It's difficult to choose, but I think I gotta go with the German homie. It's gonna be Relevant, my man.
I thought if we're gonna go for vibes, I'd go for Nako.
I mean,
seeing that man,
Throw
way back in the
to be
chair.
fair, yeah. I'm saying I think you have enough vibes, right? I think you've vibe maxed here with your mid and 80 carry with Camilo and Karzi. The amount of smiles on this team, unmatched. You're winning the smile contest. There's no doubt in my mind. Just final team before we continue. Irrelevant. So we'll go bot to top. So we have Paris and Karzi bot lane. We have Camilo in the mid lane, Sheo in the jungle, and Irrelevant top lane. Yeah, I don't know. I think Irrelevant it's a frustrating thing because he was clearly so good last year and he's had some moments this year, but they feel so few and far between. And I think you called it out well, right? It's now the lane swaps are gone. It was like, we can give him a pass. Lane swaps weren't his forte, right? And now it's, when do we see the 1v1 demon? Because there's a lot of other players who are stepping up. Mirwin, one of them, right? A guy who felt like all counter picks last year. Now he's played the standard stuff. He talked with us about it last week. Nako, who looks like he's got a lot of potential. And so I think Irrelevant to stay relevant in the conversation of best top laners, I hate when people name themselves words that I actually use. Sorry, we ran into that.
Do you use them a lot?
Stop. We ran into this problem with Lot when we were casting earlier. Sure. I think he just has to, he needs to either get back to that form, or if he feels like he's there and other people have surpassed him, go further, because he was the Jax king. He was the guy similar to 113 was eating Nidalee bans. That was the permaban Jax last year, right? No one was going to let this guy have his champion, and now I think it's probably fine. And it's not like Jax is too much worse off. He's obviously not. I think the top lane meta has changed around the Jax, but Jax is still a decent option.
Yeah, I think it's also just for Irrelevant, if I think about him on I like the tanks. I just haven't seen him in team fights kind of understanding fully what his role needs to be in those moments where it's like, is he marking the people that are on the flank correctly? Is he making the space that he needs to? And this is where I think if I've got a team with like Carzy, I do start to worry because I think if you just set Carzy up for success, you're in a great spot. And that's the only thing I'd have against Irrelevant, but I still think he is like a really strong top laner. So it does, like, if you want someone who's just going to win your top side.
And with the options that I was left with, I think he's the one who has proven his potential.
I think it was that or Knock Knocko. And I think Irrelevant is completely a reasonable bet at that point. Because while Knock Knocko has had high highs, I think you can see that Vitality have maybe overindulged him in draft on a few occasions where he wasn't quite able to deliver on some of those more niche picks.
I think you are thinking about it.
I don't think he ever played that champion, actually.
Same for Genex, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's weird how much easier my draft gets if I just forget all the Yasuo games. Suddenly Genex and Knock Knocko have just shot up there. Who would have thought? Okay. So again, I'll just run through the rosters one more time. For myself, we have Jun, Noah, Nuke, Elyoya, Mirwin. For Dagda, we have Alvaro, Ice, Jojopune, 113, Adam. And for you, Tolkien, we have Paris, Carzy, Camilo, Sheo, and Irrelevant. Are any of our teams breaking into top 3?
I mean, yours most likely, I think.
I think I'm thinking right now my top side looks pretty ace.
Yeah.
I think Jun Noah is a massive coin flip, though. If you told me this team blew up in 2 weeks,
but it feels the same for a lot of other picks, right? Same for Irrelevant. So if your people are spiking again, like the Giant X Fennec bot lane, your picks make.
I think if 113 pops off, I'm just smooth sailing.
You think you're smooth sailing? I think that's. I don't know. I think Tolkien. I think you have the craziest draft.
Yeah, I mean, I went for some vibes and also for like some more controversial options. But I think it's fun.
If you told me this team by summer was a top 3 team, I could see the timeline. If they did it like right away, that would be crazy. But it could happen. I don't know. We've seen one thing I think we've learned over this best of 3 thing is like atmosphere and mood is important because you saw it for SK, right? With the Fnatic thing. They won super confident. Next series, lost the game. Boom. Just the worst game 2 I've ever seen in my entire life. Bam, right back on top. And it's just, I think when you have these new rosters, like single wins can change a lot. But regardless, we've learned definitely based on the number of players appearing here that
we should not be general managers.
We should never be general managers. We have done no background research or interviews. The closest we have to that is Tolkien and his experience with German players and us interviewing people on this podcast. And of course, your coach.
My team went 10th, so in German league, so not great. Not great.
I forgot about that.
No.
Back to back as well. But then in the others, we actually won first once. So that's something.
Look, man, I can't judge you. You have put yourself out there in a way that I have not. I'm not going to, you know what? You were there. Good. You competed. I respect that.
Thank you.
If you were an LEC, we'd have to be a bit more brutal.
No, I mean my team when I was a team owner, not me myself playing.
Yeah, but I mean even there, like you tried. You tried.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that sounds like I'm blaming you more.
And then was a project that failed. I mean, it's fine.
It's all right. They're not all going to work out, and co-streaming seems to be going pretty well.
Yeah.
Based on you kill Faker and like Descent, whatever.
Dude, that was awesome. Cool memory. That's not bad.
No, that was pretty good. That was actually
that was really fun.
That was an incredible show match. Yeah. That was that was sick.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of that event. For those of you who missed it, the Red Bull event in Paris, Tolkien. Soul Guild Faker.
I played him
like Dumbledore before him. Legendary, iconic solo kills.
The Gold 2 brand or whatever it was.
Yep. The Gold 2 brand.
It was Gold 4, actually.
Gold 4. Sorry,
I forgot. It's like they brought Stephen Colbert in to consult on the Lord of the Rings film. We have to bring you in to consult on the Faker history. Like calling Tolkien, did this actually happen? He's like, yes, he said this in an interview this day, that time. Got it. Next up, we want to go to some community questions. We got a ton of questions. So shout out to everyone, whether they know Tolkien or not.
I think that is the most my phone has blown up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
With any guest you've had on Euphoria.
But I'm like the first customer you had on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense a bit.
I mean, but also just cool to see the support. So let's start with Wuston, J.U. Wuston, Crybaby, on Twitter, Alpaca X Justin, at Alpaca X Justin. What does Tolkien think about the Gwen changes, and will she stay in meta? Mr. Top Lane expert, Gwen.
Interesting, because lots of people have been playing just rushing Swifties, being kind of fine against Gwen, just running away, especially the NAR picks have been working out, but then Gwen people adjusted to like going grasp and going for shorter traits. I think this champion has been kind of changed in a weird direction, where Riot Games is not really sure what they want to do with Gwen. And her strength when she was really, really good in pro play was usually also being a jungle flex pick. I recently checked the statistics. She's only been played once, banned 107 times, and 59 games on top lane. So this champion has been kind of limited to a degree. And her counter picks are obvious. Usually it's just Jax or just some people can disengage, and then Gwen becomes harder to play. So, I mean, the changes are good and also pushing in the right direction, but not every champion needs to be viable in pro play. So having Gwen as a stable pick is not necessary. And usually top laners, they tend to suffer a bit or the team comp tends to suffer when we draft AP damage. Because usually then jungle and mid becomes way harder to draft, and you don't really want to commit to too much magic damage usually. So Gwen, the changes were fine for solo queue mainly, and competitive it's been okay, but not great.
Yeah, I think she feels better. Like, I think the skip and slash changes are the right direction. And I get them wanting to shift Gwen away from her pro play identity, especially being like the full AP one-shot everyone with ult. But at the same time, I don't know. I really hate top laners who don't bring CC. I just, in general, I find them very boring. And I think the obviously one of the great strengths of Gwen, other than her ulti, etc., skip and slash, is the mist. And I just find that ability as a caster so annoying.
But it's broken.
Yeah.
It's really broken.
One, it's super broken, and two, no more circles that stop damage. It's so hard to cast team fights.
But that's the one thing I do like about Gwen being back into the meta is that I just get to make my dumb joke about the MC Hammer comp where it's Xin Zhao and Gwen and you can't touch this.
Oh, that's great. That's fun. Yeah, that's awesome.
That is the only reason I like seeing her back.
And that's the only reason we get a tweet from Frox on Thursday when this comes out. He's like, that was cringe, Dagda. We're banned. She's gone.
You are welcome.
I appreciate that.
But I really like your point about not having top lane CC, because it's really weird now. We see this as well with Gooby win, right? Void Grubs versus Dragon. You have to actually win team fights to split push.
Yeah.
So like having a champion who is great at split pushing, but she has to team fight to split push, and then she doesn't have CC, doesn't really enter fights well. It's really difficult to execute. So usually Gwen suffers from just not being able to fight.
Yeah. And it's not like Gwen has looked bad in the LEC. She's obviously very strong. I don't mind her, but for me personally, I'm okay. But if it gives me more Jax, I'll take it. It just hasn't given me very much Jax. It's given me
some Gnar.
Some
Gnar, that's mainly it, yeah.
Which I do like. To be fair, as boring as Gnar is, for the millionth year we've seen Gnar, I still like Gnar as a champ. I think he's cool. Again, play-by-play caster bias. He literally tells me when he's going to do the cool thing. And he like announces it to the world.
Yeah, I was trying to look at like Gwen win rate in other regions as well. Like LPL has got a 33% win rate. So like you can kind of see a lot of these issues aren't just like LEC things.
Yeah.
I think she definitely has to be like played in a certain way in team fights to like get a good flank. But if you're marked and stuff like that, it just doesn't get the same.
They just
value.
made Fiora palatable by making her immune to an entire circle of things instead of a single parry. That's what I feel like. Also, her ult is AoE.
As well,
yeah. Well, she's just strictly better than Fiora in pro play, probably. But yeah, Gwen. Chin Marin on Twitter. There's an umlaut on the A, so I'm butchering that pronunciation. Who is the objective besta top laner? I should have put my German accent on for that. In the LEC.
Objective besta.
Objective.
Okay. I mean, it's gotta be Kana at this point, right? Because usually I was thinking, I mean, perhaps you guys agree, but on tanks and in lane swap meta, Brokeblade really shined. We had that one best of 5 where I believe Kana went for 4 games and he only won on Rumble and lost like on Cho'Gath, on Sion and stuff. So yeah, I mean, Kana just shines, and he's also been great on carries traditionally, not only in Europe, but also in T1 and in Damwon. So, I mean, he got the background check, right?
Yeah,
he's playing well now. He played well at first stand. He was the best player the best LEC player at the event throughout the entire event, in my opinion. And he was also good on day 1 and 2. So, I mean, I guess we gotta choose Kana. I don't know. Do you guys disagree?
No, I agree. I think it is obviously between him and Broken Blade, but I think Kana just consistently, if you give him a champion that's supposed to win, he will dominate and actually hard win the lane, be able to then pull that into a lot of team fights and being able to correctly utilize those leads. Not to say that Broken Blade doesn't, it's just that I think with the way G2 are playing, he's getting less opportunities to do that. But I think Kana's just been insane. Like, it feels like he hasn't really put a foot wrong, so yeah. I think it's been great.
What's really great about Broken Blade, though, is he's really the player who's actually utilizing Fearless Draft without it being necessary. Like, he's first picking Warwick in game 1.
Yeah.
And I really love the Broken Blade statement where he said, you don't need to be the best Swain player if Swain is OP in that game, right? So he's just picking Swain and he's popping off. Kana doesn't really like feel the same. He feels like more of a practice kind of player. He needs to put in the practice to pop off. But other than that, it's just Kana above Broken Blade.
Yeah, we did have that creative.
Yeah, can we run this tier list? So we had Mirwin on PGL yesterday, which you might have seen. And he had this creative top lane tier list. So not skill, but how creative the player actually was. I'm not sure if we can pop that up on screen, Anna, or if we can just show Tolkien. But Connor actually ranked C tier. So I think it kind of lines up with your expectations of where he would sit. How important do you think this creativity actually is? Do you think it's fair to just say Mirwin and Broken Blade are the guys cooking up all the time? Although everyone in top lane these days, with Jet X, Knock Knocko, everybody seems to be trying a ton of stuff. Kana does feel a little bit like the odd man out in terms of that experimentation.
You're right, especially in the top 3 discussion, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not really, it doesn't feel that important in best of 3, but it's not only about, like people, they have only been practicing like some sort of champion on top lane for like 15 years now. So once people realize champions can be broken even in game 1, it makes the game more entertaining, and also players are just better. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day, we used to not being able to select our roles, right? We had to queue randomly, and every player was better. If you had to play like top lane, jungle next game, support, we understood the game on a higher level. Yeah. So Fetus Draft makes us play more champions. We just become better as like players in total. So being creative is also kind of a synonym for being more open towards new ideas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In that kind of context. And then Kana not being open to new ideas is kind of a debuff. But this effect will probably only really be noticeable in like, I don't know, like 2 years or 3 years or something. I don't know. So it's not really that important for this year, perhaps.
Yeah, I also think that the one thing that we also have to, or that we have to consider as well, is that KC are playing things that they're not bringing out, right? And that maybe there are some more creative angles. Also, you just never know. Maybe that's like what KC want to spend their effort being creative in other roles, and they just say, hey, Connor, you're going to be the guy that we're going to put you on these carries. We're going to put you on what's objectively strong, and we'll leave room for the rest of the map. Obviously, Callista guy who has, as well as Targamas, who have both brought out a lot of crazy stuff over the years. But I am best of 5 is the big question, right? Because best of 3 fearless without lane swaps, with lane swaps completely fake. Without lane swaps, you get some interesting picks. That creativity you expect already, like the Varus coming out that game 1. There's clearly a lot more thought being put into these more niche counter picks. But best of 5, Kana best of 5. That Kana best of 5 top lane doesn't matter who he's playing against as long as we get to 5 games. Super interesting. Yeah. I think that's really the only time where this evaluation that Mirwin created for us will actually
I think
matter.
It also gets a bit weird when I look at KC, because I feel like some of their drafts in general have been a bit funky, let's say, when they get to game 3. There was like the Elise draft that they had against MKOI with Jace, Ivor, and Hui, MF, Elise, and I was kind of like, this is such a bizarre draft. It doesn't feel like anything really fits together. Even the Fnatic one, they had the Cassante, Maokai, Ari, Zaya, Nautilus, where I just felt like you had very little damage, and it kind of had to be on your AD carry then to, or Callista really step up, and they end up losing that as well. So it does feel as well like, I don't know if it's a team as a whole or what the practice is like or what it is, but it definitely feels like there's like struggles when it comes to draft on KC in general, not just a Kana thing. So I'm curious if it is Kana specific or at KC have decided that this is their mentality or creativity in the draft, you know?
I'm not sure either. I think that to Tolkien's point earlier, right? Maybe it is a matter of trying to shore up where they're weak, emulating some of what HLE did. They clearly very committed to getting Yike to play Vi. Despite its pretty abysmal track record, right? And I can respect that they're continuing to try to use that time to improve. And so it's hard for me to get a read on what KC actually like. Because we're going to show, if they show up in an interview to say, hey, we're playing to win no matter what, but there's obviously nuance to that behind the scenes. You're playing to win, but you're also trying to do this or you're trying to do that. And you might not be showing us all their cards. So I think long run, it's just kind of a question of how will it look in the games and series that really matter? Because KC are top 6, no question in my mind. And seeding 100%. Does matter, but it's not as important as once you're in top 6, you know, you have a little bit of room to play, and it's a long regular season, very long. Next question. This person's name is too long, and their question's a meme, but a lot of people were excited about this question. Tolkien, why didn't they use the Eagles to fly to Mordor?
That's just a boring question. How was that exciting? That's just really boring.
It's fine. I just want to get one meme in. There's a lot of people excited with various Tolkien memes. They want to know about the Silmarillion. They want to know about the, you know.
Oh, Silmarillion I would love to talk about. Actually, it's probably difficult for me to talk about in English, but still, I mean, it's fun.
That's cool. Wait, what? Like, maybe we can learn some German today. Can we get some Tolkien?
Sure.
J.R.R. Tolkien German today. What is the Balrog called in German?
Balrog?
I've been nailing it for years.
Dude, like it's a name of its own. Like you're not gonna rename it.
I don't know the rules. I clearly only speak one language. It's debilitating sometimes. Is there anything that has an interesting name in German that translates that you know?
I mean, Shelob is translated differently. In German it's Kankra. I'm not really sure why. It's like Shelob is the big spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know Sheila.
She's called Kank. I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with. I don't know.
We cast League of Legends.
We are friends with
There was a
Medic.
time where the only nerd recognition you could get publicly was Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Okay, we were.
I was just gonna say Medic. Like, so anytime you bring up any sort of Lord of the Rings lore, you'll get this
Medic
movement from
immediately
Medic.
claps and
He-
throws his hands down and
for it,
just
and then
talks for
launches
30
into
minutes
it. Yeah,
straight.
But apparently he has like core specific knowledge on specifically the spiders in Lord of the Rings. You were
No,
telling me.
I give him shit. I just tell everyone that he knows a lot about because the one time that he did it, we roasted him because he talked for like 20 minutes about the spiders in Lord of the Rings because he had just finished reading the Silmarillion.
Cool.
There's obviously a lot of background story there.
Sure.
And so I just tell everyone that he doesn't know a lot about Lord of the Rings, but he knows a lot about the spiders in Lord of the Rings because I just think that's a funnier way to spin it. What is your favorite like Lord of the Rings or Tolkien like piece of lore from the stories?
Okay, piece of lore. I for sure love Turin Turamba. He's called, I don't know, Schwarze Klinge in German, so the Black Blade, I think.
Yeah.
And his story is really tragic. I don't want to spoil you guys, but he's fighting against like a big dragon and stuff, and his sister is an important part of the story, and he's also killing a friend of him, of his. And it's a really interesting story. And you only can read it in the Silmarillion, so it's for most of viewers probably they never heard of this. But yeah, I mean, it's an awesome story, and I really wish like new fantasy franchises, they would not try to just, like re-upload new Harry Potter series or like the 10th Star Wars movie, but just, take the source material that's already there and just make a great adaptation out of it. So like Turin Turamba is for sure the best choice, in my opinion.
Yeah. That would be, I mean, frankly, I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to give up another Ghostbusters reboot. Tolkien. I don't know. Can I do it? Could I give up the Minecraft movie? It seems like we're already adapting really great new source material. That Borderlands movie did really well. Clearly people are picking the right things to adapt.
It's such a terrible time, like people used to be creative and now it's just, franchise that works. It's just getting slammed.
Yep.
And it makes money because, I'm also target group and I actually watched the new series of Lord of the Rings as well.
Yep.
But it's just been terrible. I don't know. And my parents actually decided I'm going to be Lord of the Rings fan from birth because my first name is Tolkien, but backwards. So I'm, like from birth. They knew I was going to go full into this and they were right. And so I'm...
That is an insane called shot. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I just hated the series because they were so untrue to so many like factual things Tolkien created. And he said the opposite of what they did. So yeah.
Yeesh. Well, luckily I haven't watched it, so thank you for the...
I mean, it's actually really well made. They have great costumes, they have great locations, they filmed the great scenes, but the story itself is just Hollywoodized. I don't know. Where there was this Twilight era where every single movie had to have like a love triangle.
Yeah.
It was the same for The Hobbit. They created this character, Tauriel, who like two people were like kind of like attracted to, and she just doesn't exist. Tolkien would have never wrote this, It's just wrong. Yeah. And it's been due to Hollywood having their own kind of era of new, like, triangles and stories, which Tolkien
The
would
new
have never.
trend, yeah.
And his son also hated this. Christopher Tolkien also said his father would have hated the movies, even the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And by the time you're gone, someone will be out there talking about how much you love the French ERL and how you don't care about the German ERL. They'll just betray everything your career has stood for.
My bad.
Look, this is going to lead us down a road of ranting that we will never return from. So I'm going to move us. I'm going to move us on.
Smart choice.
Not that I can't follow you down that rabbit hole, just that we don't have the time. Let's talk a little bit about next week before we go. Look, we only have 2 games on Saturday this week. So reminder, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, starting at 5 p.m. local time every single day. Schedule behind us. Any games that stand out to you guys? Any game that you're particularly excited for? I didn't expect to be excited as much. I thought these would be a lot of top versus bottom matchups.
Dude,
but
SK versus Rogue, match of the week. Week, and with an A.
Yeah.
I got it. That's good. Classic.
That's awesome, no?
I think that and Team Heretics versus Vitality are
that's the
actually
one.
insane.
Yeah.
Like normally the better matchups are later in the day, but Sunday and Monday Series 1 are kind of
bangers.
insane.
Yeah.
They're kind of bangers. But we do need to talk to Team Heretics and Rogue about one of them has to change logos.
True. It's
Right?
confusing. It's been confusing.
it is a little bit.
We
Yeah.
can't
Completely
no
right.
more hooded people. No more hooded
It's
people.
not. Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy. Rogue is playing so much in the early season. They already won 5, right? So after this, they will have 2 additional series. It's almost over.
Their
the season.
season, yeah. They're playing
A lot.
a ton.
Yeah.
And it's
Which kind of feels unfair to a degree, because you have more data to look at. What are they drafting, how they're playing than other teams. But it's obviously not possible to do it differently, right?
someone is always going to have
Yes,
to
exactly.
split it up, right? Yeah. So a little bit tricky there. I don't know. Those two ones are bangers. What are your predictions for those two series? Team Heretics versus Vitality, SK versus Rogue. I have a I think I know where Tolkien's going to predict for one of them.
There's no way SK actually loses to Rogue, no? I listened to Nuke this episode here, and he also said, you just don't feel like you can lose when you play against Rogue. Those were his words, and then he actually lost. Like, you guys
I was going to say, so.
You guys are making fun of him, which was great. But I kind of feel the same. They just don't do a whole lot, and SK felt similar to a degree, but they actually have like some certain place they are looking for, which can win them games. And just having the slightest initiative against a team who's just running over and waiting for the game to end is awesome. So SK also showed some great stuff today, also against Fnatic, not too much against K-Corp. So yeah, I'm choosing SK for sure for that game.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the SK hype train as well. I just really want to see them do well. Yeah. Like, it's cool to see a bunch of new guys coming in and then like taking a game off our series off Fnatic and then looking really good today. So it's hard not to start to be endeared to SK. It's exciting.
I was like a Rogue. I wanted to be a Rogue believer in the first few weeks, despite how bad it started, because Adam tried really hard, Larson Challenger, and I really feel for these guys who've been playing for so long, but it has not materialized really at all. And SK also a team with more momentum. I'm really excited for Reeker, especially, to be honest with you, because his debut was awful. And to get a shot at redemption, big deal. And I think this split, he's finally showing an individual performance. We were talking about this earlier. I think one of the best things about commentating a league as opposed to just individual tournaments is watching that glow up happen. I think we've seen it with Mirwin. I think we're starting to see it with Reeker. And not a lot of players get to continue that journey, but I really hope he just continues to get better.
Because even today, I think for Reeker, like the Silas game, I thought he was so good. And his KDA doesn't reflect it. He was like, he's not the flashy play that's going to get the like clip on YouTube, but it's the dirty work that needs to get done. And he's the one that spotted it time and time again. And it was so sick to see. Even he had the Yone game against, KC as well. Or was it? I can't remember anyway, but he had the insane game as well. And I was like, oh my God, like this is actually Reeker really starting to step up. So I'm genuinely excited to see what this guy can do. And I think that's sick. Like, I think he's put in the work for so long, and to now finally be getting to see that on the main stage is just cool.
Yeah, Reeker was a former teammate of mine back in 2019, and I always felt like people who get a shot too early at LEC, it can be bad. You know, like it's like...
That's my fear for Carlson, but he did show up well today. But I think it's a good point, right?
I love your point, like mentioning that's, a league can really give you another chance as well. Like having that glow up story. I never really thought about that way, because tournament format is also kind of exciting.
True.
But like Reeker getting a second shot, also Genex, I guess, getting a second shot. SK doesn't feel the strongest, so it has not worked out too well.
Yep.
But solidifying a win against Rogue can push them towards playoffs, so maybe they can show a better form.
And also, I think that's all you need. Like,
exactly,
who are our 5th and 6th teams? It's so unclear. Yeah. Like, I think it can go to anyone. So as long as you're beating the teams around you, you can make it to playoffs, and then like anything can happen in a best of 5, right?
Yeah,
it's possible. That's gonna do it for this episode. Tolkien, before we go, any last words? Again, shout out to the entire German community that came in. Whether your English is great, and it probably is because your education system is good, or you're Google translating, I appreciate all the questions that showed up.
I've got the German for this. Danke.
Strong.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
You guys have been living in Berlin for so long. Don't you speak German like at least a bit?
Yeah.
Nine.
Hit me. Tell me something.
He does, yeah. My German is limited to what I've been able to construct from the food ordering apps. So I understand my Gemüse and my Obst.
Obst und Gemüse. Schön.
Mein Deutsch ist okay. Ich habe an die Pandemie einen Deutschkurs gemacht für 12 Stunden pro Woche. Aber ich habe nicht verstanden, dass ich muss Hausaufgabe auch machen. Okay. So I did a 12-hour course, 12 hours per week of German, intensive. I didn't get that you also had to do homework on top of that. Und ich muss auscasten von meiner Hause und so. My Deutsch is okay.
Your grammar is great, actually. Your grammar is perfect.
Vielen Dank.
The pronunciation not, but it's not that. But your grammar is great.
Vielen Dank. So, es funktioniert, aber ich kenne nicht so viele Wörter, und es ist lustig, weil letzte Woche hatte ich einen Termin als die Bürgeramt.
It's okay, English speakers. I'm as lost as
I had a government appointment, and I just unintentionally just lied to the guy like 5 times because I kept mispronouncing words. And I was really lucky because he just kept being like, okay, do you mean this or this? And I was so fortunate because I was applying for full residency, and you need a certain level of German comprehension. and we spoke about things that I knew about, and it was all very cozy.
Cool.
And then he just gave me the benefit of the doubt because the last time I did that appointment, I forgot my passport. And so he kept roasting me about that, and I kept joking about it too. So we made friends, and he forgave me for not knowing one or two words, but I was very dangerously close to completely botching my work visa.
It's German who knows humor. Like that's great. That's just awesome.
It was great. The stereotypes aren't all true. The efficiency one also not
true at all.
Not true. No, you have not encountered a German train.
It's limited to Berlin to a degree, not the train, but the efficiency. Berlin is also a bit different, you know. Like
that's true. That's fair. Very good to go with
but
that.
the trains, for sure.
Regardless, Tolkien, thank you so much for coming. Oh wait, before we go, we have one more question.
Sure.
This is important. It's been haunting us all. Anna, do we have the graphic ready to go?
Oh my goodness.
I'm kidding. You don't have to answer that.
I can. If you want me to.
Wait, you can?
But it's gonna take like a bit of like some time. I don't know how much. Like at best 3 to 4 minutes.
I will give you the time because every other person when encountered with this question immediately says nothing, which I think is fair because the stakes are high.
Why are the stakes high?
Because people will be angry with
but you know, like I think T1 really handled the situation awfully. You know, like how they communicate especially was terrible. And it's put both of those players in like a terrible position where they can't really do anything right. Whatever they do, they're going to get flamed from either side.
Yeah.
And I think it's really terrible to not just do it the same way T1 has always done it, because we have great precedents, no? We have like Faker Izun situation, where it was just clear. And it was Keikoma, the same guy who's doing it today, no? Just saying one guy gets to play if he's better, and then there's no argue about it. Like there's no CEO stepping in and telling people one guy gets to play because he has such legacy or something. So the same with Guma's career start with Teddy. Was same situation, no? It was like a rookie coming up, Teddy being hyped, or like being more of the veteran. And now we have the same situation again, where both of those players have their own strengths. I believe like Smash was way better on Kaiser, which is the main reason he got subbed in. But Guma was way better on like stuff like Kate and Raven, which Smash lost on, especially in Game 5 against Sanva. So both of those players have their own strength. And if you just actually make your coach have the last word, which hopefully is the case, and just swap people out, nobody can argue. Just your team wants to win. This is a team. It's not about one guy. So T1 also has this kind of idea, which is different to, for example, CFO at First Stand, where they don't really want to swap within the series. You know, like CFO did it with Driver and Rest, and in the past we saw like Bangy Blank being swapped in and out. Yeah. And you could watch with your coach the entire game, analyze it, and then swap another play in. They don't use this really. They have Smash play for the entire game, or Guma for the entire series, which doesn't make that much sense. You're not really utilizing your 6-man roster. So those players become like antagonists against each other rather than teammates. So both of those players are great. I myself prefer Guma because I just think his legacy is awesome. But his career started the same way Smash is about to start, so this guy should also get a shot. He's better mechanically. He played Rumble with Reckless and stuff. He better mechanically at some champions. He plays more champions, I guess. So this will be my narrative. And if you would just use your 6-man roster like other teams have done, like you have done in your past, this could be great. Instead, we just have like this kind of awkward situation. I don't know. Doesn't make sense.
Okay. We're going to go to geopolitical issues next. But first we have to stop down, give you your Nobel Peace Prize. We'll just be back next week. That was a very excellent explanation, diplomatic explanation. Praised both players, didn't flame everyone.
Nice.
Again, if this all falls apart, this whole co-stream thing, which it won't because you're fantastic and you got so many people behind you.
Thank you.
I'm already putting out the tweets.
Yeah, next. And you must be so charming in German because you're incredibly charming in a second language.
Wow. Thank you for the compliments, guys.
Well earned. Tolkien, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone who watched. We'll be back next week with another episode. Remember, this week, not triple best of 5 on the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all days, 2 best of 5s starting at 5 p.m. Berlin local time. We'll see you there.
Bye.